Good morning, student. Let's discuss our 8th unit, Biomechanics and Sports. Human body consists of bones and muscles which help the body to perform external movement. Due to bones and muscles, the persons are able to perform external movement. Muscle provide necessary energy and force for the movement, and bones act as a levers for performing the work or for performing the movement. Okay, due to the bones and muscles, the external movement is possible, and muscle provide energy for movement, whereas bones act as a levers for performing the work. To understand the movement of human beings, we need a specialized subject, that is kinesiology and biomechanics. Kinesiology is the study of motion, and biomechanics is a branch of physics in combinations with biology, which helps to understand the human movement in a scientific way. Let's discuss about biomechanics. So, biomechanics is derived from the Greek word bio and mechanics. Bio means living things, and mechanics is a field of physics. So, biomechanics is a branch of science which deal with force related to the movements. Biomechanics helps to biomechanics helps to study the force and its effect on living beings. Okay, so biomechanics is derived from two words, bio and mechanics. Bio means living things, and mechanics is related to physics, that is force. So biomechanics, it's a science. Biomechanics is the study of force and its effect on living things, living beings. Let's study biomechanics. Biomechanics helps to understand the human movement by performing different force acting upon it. With the help of biomechanics, we are able to understand the various movement on a human body when different types of force are act on a human body. This subject, biomechanics, helps in better understanding about the physics principles, that is that is role of gravity over the body, law of motion, levers, types of body, equilibrium applications on the body, etc. Okay, helps too. Biomechanics helps in better understanding about the physics principles acting on a human body. Physics principles like law of motions, law of levers and its types in the body, equilibrium applications on the body, role of gravity over the body, various force acting on human body, projectiles, etc. Next is importance. Importance of biomechanics in sports. What are the importance of biomechanics? Means the study of force on a human body. First is understanding human movement. Kinesiology and biomechanics give us better understanding of human movements. Biomechanics helps in better understanding of human movement. Knowledge about force on the body. It gives us knowledge about the various force acting upon body. By studying the biomechanics, we are able to know about the various force acting on body and how the movement is possible. Efficient movement. It provides knowledge to perform efficient movement, as it's helped to develop good skill. Biomechanics helps to develop good movement, which helps biomechanics helps in improving it's improve the efficiency of the movements which develop good skill. Correct movement. Biomechanics helps to correct the fault movement. With the help of biomechanics, we are able to understand the various movements. So we are able to correct our fault movements, which helps to improve the effectiveness and efficient movements. By by uh, by correcting our movements, we are able to perform we are able to do the movement in an efficient and effective way. Provide injury. The injury take place if we do wrong movement. Biomechanics helps in better understanding about the movements, so we can correct our fault movements. We can correct our fault movements. Therefore, it's have to prevent injury. Improve performance. It's help to improve the performance of an individuals by developing good technique and good training methods. If we use a good technique and good training methods, it improve the performance of our players. For examples, uh, for example, by using the correct methods of running running allow the athletes to carry out regular physical exercise for long period of time. For examples, by performing a correct movement, the person is able to do a movement for long period of time without being uh, without being fatigued. Therefore, his performance will be improved. Knowledge about physics principles. uh, Knowledge about physics principles, it gives us knowledge about physics related principles. Physics physics related principles, that is the law of motions, law of levers and its type, equilibrium, various force acting on human body, projectiles, aerodynamic, etc. These all are the principles, physics principles. So biomechanics helps to gain the knowledge. It provides knowledge about these physics principles on the human body. What will happen if the physics principles act on a human body? Guide safety principles. This subject guide us the safety principles and prevent injury. Safety principles: by following a correct movement, correct techniques, it's help to prevent injury. Helps in research work. Biomechanics principles help in research work and direct scientific principles. With the help of biomechanics, we can do a different types of research, because we with the help of biomechanics we get a data through which we can do a research work. Helps in developing new tools. Biomechanics helps to develop new new apparatus and for helps in human movements according to the required of movement. We can make the tools, we can make the equipment to improve the movement, to improve the efficiency of the movement. Therefore, the performance of a persons will be improved by developing a new tools, new equipment, etc. These are the importance of biomechanics in sports. Okay, so biomechanics, it is a combination of two words, bio and mechanics. Bio means living things and mechanics is physics. So biomechanics means study of physics, means study of force and its effect on living things. Effect of physics. Physics means law of motions, law of law of motions, law of levers, equilibrium, etc. What will happen if these principles of physics act on our living beings, living things, human body? What will happen and what are its effects? For example, biomechanics, importance of biomechanics. It's helping understanding the human movement. With the help of biomechanics, we are able to understand the movement. We are able to gain the knowledge about the force acting on human body. Efficient movement, we are able to perform our efficient movement. Correct movements, we can correct our fault movement. Prevent injury, by correcting our movement we are able to correct the injury. Improve performance, by developing new technique. By using correct movement, correct technique, we can improve the performance. Knowledge about physics principles, we can get a knowledge about physics principle of physics, that is law of motions, law of levers, equilibrium, etc. This type of physics. Guide the safety principles. Biomechanics helps to guide the safety principles, helps in doing the research works, and also helps in developing the new tools, new equipments, so that we can improve our movement, and improve our efficiency, performance, etc. Next is types of movement. Types of movement. First, flexion. Flexions, it describes the bending movement that decrease the angle between the segment and its proximal segment. Okay, flexion means decrease in angles between a two joint. When the angles between a two joint decrease, it is known as flexions. For example, bending the elbow. At the time of bending the elbow, the angles between the joint, the angles in the elbow decrease. Therefore, this movement is known as flexion. Or uh, or when we are sitting, the knee flex, that is the angles of the knee decrease. So this is a flexions, means when the angles between the joint decrease. Extension. Extension is the opposite of flexions. In flexions, there is decrease in angles between the joint. In extensions, there is increase in angles between the joint, between the body part. When the joint can move forward and backward, such as neck, up, and trunk. Okay, extensions means increase in angles between the joint. For examples, downward movement of the your elbow. For your standing, when standing up, the angles in the knee increase. This is known as extensions. For examples, look at here. This is your flexion. When uh, at the times of upward movements of your hand, the angles in your elbow decrease. This is known as flexions. Extensions means increase in angles. Here's the angles is increase. Angle between the angles in your knee, angles in your elbow is increase, means extension. Extension means increase in angles between the joint. Abduction. Abductions, it refers to motions that pull a structures or part away from the midline of the body. So abductions abductions means movement. uh, Abductions means movement away from midline of the body. For examples, राइजिंग द आर्म्स अप, अपने हैंड को अपवर्ड राइज करना. और when the leg are split at the hip, this is known as abduction. This is abductions, means this is your imaginary lines when when you when the motion when the movement is away from midline. For example, raising your hand, that is movement. This is movement away from the midline of the body. This is known as abduction. And adduction means movements toward the midline. This is your midline and there is a movement toward the midline. This is known as adductions. Okay, abductions means movement away from the midline. For examples, raising the arms up, अपने hand को up raise करना. In a straight, there is no bending of elbow. Straight, raising your hand straight upward. And adductions means movement toward the midline of the body. For examples, um, dropping the arms to the side, अपने hand को drop करना नीचे की तरफ, या bringing the knee together. This is adductions. Elevations. Elevations refers to the movement in superior directions. For examples, circumduction is an example of elevations of the scapula. So, elevations superior in upward directions. So, elevations means movement in superior directions, mean upward directions. And depressions means movement in an inferior direction, that is opposite of elevations. For example, this is your elevations and this is your depression. Elevations means movements in the superior direction, upward directions, and depressions means movement towards the inferior direction, towards the downward directions. Rotation, also known as medial rotations. It refers to rotation toward the axis of the body. Okay, internal rotations means rotation toward the axis of the body. It is also known as medial rotations. For examples, internal rotations, also known as medial rotations, means rotations towards the axis of the body. For example, neck rotation, okay, toward the axis. And external rotations, also known as lateral rotation, it is rotation away from the centers of the body. For example, neck rotations away from the axis. Circumduction, it refers to a conical movement of a body part, such as in ball and socket joint or the eyes. Circumduction, it is a combination of flexions, extensions, abductions, adductions. Okay, circumductions. This is a circumduction. In this is your ball and socket joint. This is okay, in this circular movement, okay, at this circumduction. This is known as circumductions. In ball and sockets, full circles, that is flexions, combinations of flexions, extensions, abductions, adductions. This circumductions, conical movement. Or for examples, at the times of blowing a crickets, अपने cricket balls, ठीक है, at the times of bowling a cricket balls. Circumduction in the ball and socket joint, अपने shoulders के ball and socket joint पे circular movement at the time of bowling a cricket. Pronation, this is your supinations, upward movements, अपने head को upward direction करके लेटना. And this is pronation. Pronation means अपने head को downward करके लेटना, ठीक है. सो प्रोनेशन, it is an anatomical positions. The forearm is rotated in pronations, ठीक है. In pronations means lying on your pronation, lying on your tummy. Your palms should be downward, your face should be downward. Proline prone is lying or positions on a tummy के बल पे लेटना. Your palms should be downward and relaxed. Supinations means lying in a bag, अपने बैग पे लेट जाना. In this, the palm of the hand is turned to face upward direction में turn होगा. Your face is also turned in upward directions. And supine is lying or positions on the back, अपने बैक पे line. Proline means face नीचे की तरफ करके लेटना. In proline, your palm is also face downward. And supine positions, your face is in upward directions and your palm is also in upward direction. Let's discuss some flexion. Flexion means bending of a joint so as to bring together its parts in connection. Flexion means flexion means decrease in angles between the joint. For example, bending your elbow or sitting down. Extensions is strengthening a joint, means increase in extension. There is increase in angles between the joint. For example, downward movement of your elbow or standing up, there is increase in angle between the joint. Abductions means movement away from midline of the body. There is a imaginary midline in your body and the movement away from the midline is known as abduction. For example, raising your hand up, अपने hand को upward की तरफ rise करना. And adductions means movements toward the midline of the body. For example, downward movement of your hand. Circumduction means circular movement of a part of a body part. For example, at the time of bowling a cricket ball, ठीक है, cricket ball को bowling करते time. In circumductions, it is a combination of flexions, extensions, abductions, adductions and rotation. Rotations is movement of a bone around a longitudinal axis. In rotation, there are two types: internal, medial, also known as internal rotations. Lateral rotation means external rotation. Medial rotations means rotation. Medial rotation means rotations toward the axis of body, and laterals means rotations away from the axis of the body. Pronations means your downward, sleeping downward means lying down in your tummy के बल पे लेट जाना. When the anatomical position, the forearm is rotated so that the palm of the hand face backward and your face is also downward. And in supinations, your face is upward, your palm of the hand is turned towards the upward directions. Inversions means turning inward of the plantar aspects of the foot. Okay, inversion, turning inwards of the plantar aspect of the foot. Eversions means outwards of the plantar aspects of the foot, अपने foot को outward की तरफ turn करना. Inversion से अंदर की तरफ turn करना. Eversion mean outward की तरफ turn करना अपने foot को. Dorsiflexion means movement of angles which pull the toe and foot towards the body part. For example, अपने एंगल्स को बॉडी की तरफ टर्न करना, movements of your angles towards the body. Plantar flexions means putting the toe and foot away from the body. And pronations, pronation means lying on the tummy, and supinations means lying on the back. Your face will be upward. In pronations, your face should be downward. So this is law of motions and its applications in sports. This law of motions we will study in our next video. In law of motions, there are three type of law of motion, that is first law of motion, also known as law of inertia, second law of oscillations, and third law of motion, that is law of actions and reactions. This will study in our next video. Let's once again we do revisions about the biomechanics. Biomechanics means it is a study of force. Okay, first biomechanics. Bio means bio means living things, and mechanics is a field of physics. So biomechanics means the study of force and its effect, means study of mechanisms of physics on all living things, means means the study of force and its effect. What will happen if the force apply on the human beings, on the living beings? This is known as biomechanics, study of force and its effect on living things. Biomechanics is known as science because in biomechanics biomechanics helps to understand human movements while different force acting upon it. Biomechanics helps to understand the human movements when the different force act upon it. And importance of biomechanics, the main is biomechanics. In biomechanics we study about the movement, means when the force, what will happen when the force act on a human body. So first is it's help to understand the human movement, knowledge about force. What will happen when the force, different type of force act on a human body? With the help of biomechanics we get a knowledge about the force act on a human body. Efficient movement, biomechanics helps to perform efficient movement. We are able to perform efficient movements and helps to develop the good skill. If we perform efficient movement, if we perform good movement, then our skill will be improved. Correct movement, biomechanics helps to correct the movements. In biomechanics, with the help of physics, with the help of force, we are able to correct our movements. We are able to correct our wrong fault movement. Thus our movement will be effective and we will perform the efficient movement. If we perform the efficient movement, correct movement, then the chance of injury is less. Improve performance, if we perform correct movement, then the efficiency of the persons will also improve. Therefore the performance of a persons will be improved. And also with the help of biomechanics we are able to develop good technique, good training methods, knowledge about physics principles. Biomechanics helps to gain a knowledge about law of motion. Law of motions means what will happen and if the force act on our body, the levers, types of body, equilibrium means the condition in which one force cancels other force, projectiles, etc. Guide the safety principles, helps to do research work and helps in developing new tools, new equipment with the help of biomechanics, we are able to develop new equipment, new tools to improve our performance by improving the movements. If we develop the new tools, we are able to improve our movement. We are able to improve the efficiency of the movement, therefore the performance will also improve. Types of movement: flexion means decrease in angles between the joint. Extensions means increase in angles between the joint. Abductions means movement away from midline towards the midline. Elevations means movement in superior direction, means upward directions. Depressions means movement towards the inferior direction, means downward directions. Internal rotation means rotation toward the axis of the body. External rotation means movement away from axis of the body. Circumductions means conical movement, circular movement, cone movement, in which it is a combination. In circumductions there is a combinations of flexions, abductions, adductions, circumductions, etc. Pronations means lying down in your tummy. Supinations means lying down in your